Welcome to episode 88 of the Bikini Besties podcast. I'm Lo.
Kaylia.
Stephanie.
And Lexi.
We have Lexi here today because this week's episode is brought to you by Performance Posing, and today's topic is posing standards at every level. So we're not going to give you guys updates today, so hold tight for next episode or go back to our last episode if you want to hear our latest. We have all of us in the room today, and we'll let you kick off this week's topic.
I'll take over. Yeah, so this week's episode is, like Lo said, posing standards at every level. We've got the performance posing team here, and we want to dive in and break down just kind of the posing standards and expectations that you should be focusing on at your level. I think a lot of competitors, especially starting out, they're looking up to us at the national level, the pro level, Olympians, and which is great. It's great inspiration, but and they want to look or pose or act this certain way on stage, but they haven't yet focused on what they need to for their specific level and master that before they're ready to then work on the things that you would focus on at the next level. So when we talk about levels of competing, it's typically broken down into three: the regional level, the national level, and then the pro level. And in my opinion, there are different posing just standards and expectations and things to focus on at those specific levels. Would you guys kind of agree? I mean, you guys been at all levels, and so
I'm trying to even think about feedback I received from regional versus national. I feel like maybe national was a little bit more, or let's start with regional. Regional is a little bit more focused on your mandatories and hitting those to the best of your ability, and just being, I guess, a little bit more comfortable on stage, because I feel like a lot of people don't practice posing until it's a little later in the prep. We try not to do that, but
or I think even some people are worried about just having a certain, it's not even a level of experience of posing you need to be at each level. I think there's a level of expectations that the judges have at each level and what they emphasize as most important.
Yes.
On the regional level, they're not looking for as in depth on routines. If we start at the regional level, a lot of times especially this last year in 2025, routines weren't even judged. They were just thrown in at finals as a presentation on the regional level, but at the pro level, they are very much in every single pre-judging, and finals, only some of the top 10 or top 5 or first call out get to come back and do their routine, because the routines were judged earlier at pre-judging. So it's kind of a different, just to kind of give you guys kind of a reason why we're kind of diving into what's important. So if they're not judging your routine at pre-judging in a regional level, what is important?
Yeah, so I look at it this way. I think at the regional level, I think if you look at the regional, national, and pro, I would say regional level, your focus is your foundation and your structure of posing, the basics, the 101. And then if you look at the national level, it's now polish. And what I mean by polish is it's polishing that foundation and that structure and kind of moving up in certain things that you focus on. It's just polishing your stage presence. And then in my opinion, at the pro level, now we're focused on micro details and your presence on stage. And so this is the aura that you give off on stage, the personality, the vibe, as well as fine-tuning very specific details. And we'll get into that when we talk about the pro level, but when your last season, you focused on your rib positioning and your front pose. It's details like that. We might not be focusing on something like that for a brand new competitor at the regional level, because you just need to know what a front pose is and how to create a balanced presence. Not so much, do I now need to bring my rib cage in a certain way? Do I, so there, and we'll get into that, but that's what I consider it, structure at the regional level, your foundation, you're polishing that, and then your presence at the pro level once you get there. Yeah. The national level, I think, is a good in between of the two. You're kind of you've got your foundation, you've got your structure, your 101, and you are adding some polish and some presence to it. Your personality's starting to come out.
So you can stand out from other people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think you see a range of national competitors too, depending. I feel like you can see people who maybe this is their first national show because they kind of almost look a little bit more regional. And then people that are coming back for their third round of national shows or fourth round, and they look almost pro Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a little bit.
Yeah,
of a
because they're
range.
the ones who are going to be winning their pro cards. So they're the ones who are almost ready for that next level too.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I would say, like, if we focus on the regional level, like, let's start there. So if we focus on that, I would say even if you're brand new or you've competed once or twice and you're still at the regional level, what the judges are expecting out of you is to know what a front pose is, know what a back pose is, know what a transition to the back and transition to the front is. Maybe you're not executing it like a pro, but you know what it is. If you come out on stage at a regional level and you have no idea what it means when they say face the back,
Yeah.
then that you're missing the foundation. You're missing the 101 of posing. And so the standard at the regional level is to just know what the terminology is, know what the judges are going to be asking you to do, how to navigate a stage.
Yeah. And I would say a lot of times when my posing clients come to me and when they learn their transitions, they instantly they're only thinking it's a routine. They're thinking that they come in and they turn around, they pose the front, they turn around, they pose the back, and they turn around and they leave. And it's like, actually, at your judging, what actually is like, what they're judging you is when you're standing in a line and you're facing the back, facing the front, and you're going back and forth, just executing your mandatories over and over again. They're not, so it's kind of like, I think you want to emphasize, like, what are the judges actually, where are they spending their time judging? And so putting your efforts in your practicing and even your visualization of what your show day is going to be like into where you're going to spend majority of the time. So it's like you practice where you're actually going to be judged, which is going to be comparisons and very basic holding that front and back pose.
Yeah. And then with those comparisons, I feel like a good word at the regional level would be to focus on consistency, just as much as possible. Because I even know, even at the pro level, like having my front pose be the same every time, my feet width the same every time is hard, even at the pro level. So even just thinking about getting as consistent as you possibly can was something that's just totally brand new.
Yeah, anything you would add, Lexi, with the...
Yeah, no, I just agree. I think a lot of the time girls, they want to jump right into the flow and doing bigger movements and everything, not really understanding how that's taking away from their physique, and just starting to back it up and just build a foundation, like talk about your foot placement, talk about your basic anglings of your physique, and kind of teaching them, like you guys have said, that what the judges are looking for and everything at each level will help them put their priorities into their posing, and just making sure that the girls aren't getting ahead of themselves, because we're trying to bring them their best package and we want them to win. So in order to, we have to stick to the basics, especially, at that regional level. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to, like, for a new competitor to know that may be listening, that here's this, is that the judges are not expecting you at the regional level to look like Laura Lee.
No, they're
They're
not.
just not. Like, they know you're not at that level yet. They know that you're just starting out. And so they're just asking you to kind of know how to navigate the stage. You may not have yet the most perfect front pose or transition to the back or walk to the back, because you're learning and you're going to chip away at that stuff. But I mean, it's good to start learning posing as early as you can and get as great as you can, but you're going to continue to chip away and continue to build that posing IQ and throughout your time in the sport. And so when judges see you at the national level, they respect or they would like you to, just like I said earlier, understand how to navigate the stage. And so, knowing what the terminology is, but also knowing, like, when they bring you out, how to line up at the front line, what the box means, what the side diagonal lines mean, what's the flow of show day, just stuff like that. So that way, when they're making calls on stage, that the show runs smoothly. You'll look at the regional level, you will really look like a polished competitor if you just understand what's being asked of you. So if you know how to enter and line up at the diagonal, and if you know how to enter and line up at the front line, if you know how for your individual routine to walk up to the box, do a routine and exit, if you just know how to navigate the stage, you will already look like a polished competitor at that level. So I think that's a big one. You may not have another thing is at the regional level, something that is, the more you work on posing, you'll get better at this, but you will see people kind of stumble, be a little shaky. You just will see that is normal. And that's just because at that level, this is your either first time on stage, your first 1 to 2 times on stage. You're getting comfortable posing, nervous in the heels. You may not see a lot of that the more you pay attention to nationals and pro, because they've had time. They're more confident in the heels.
It's more familiar.
And the judges have more grace for those moments at the regional level. Like if you stumble in a transition or you just kind of move into your next pose, they have a lot of grace for that. What they are looking for is that you can do your mandatory pose. And so like if you're stumbling or anything, but you land into a solid front pose because they can tell you've practiced and you're displaying your physique well, maybe not with the exact detail of the next levels, but you're doing it well. That's what you're more likely to win than someone who comes out there and has a dancey, flowy routine at finals where the head judge might even be on a bathroom break. And so it's like what I would always like emphasize when you're learning, like spend the time of just like being like, okay, what's important? It's not that my footsteps are perfect. You don't have to be necessarily like nervous of like, oh no, I might trip, or like I might forget if it's right then left foot. They don't care if you move differently. They don't know what your plan is. They just are hoping, okay, they'll let everyone settle into their pose and then they'll look through the lines. And then when they turn to the back, they'll let everybody settle into their back pose. Then they'll look through the lines. I mean, the more elevated you are, the better it is. But at the same time, like they have a lot of room of forgiveness and grace for the in-between.
They do. Yeah, and I think that the focus should be just focusing on your foundation. Focusing on, Lexi talks about it a lot, like your mandatories. Like that should just be your priority. We all do want a pretty transitions and pretty routine, but you can make simple pretty. You can. And honestly, most of the time it is what's the prettier option. Is being simple. I think we see a lot of people at the regional levels try too hard and they try to do too much, and then because you're not experienced yet to know how to handle that on stage, those fancy moves or those certain kind of personality traits and stuff, you don't know how to navigate that on stage yet. You don't have the experience. Then it does come off looking very amateur, just because
you don't have the foundation. And so now I'm just paying attention to these floofy things that like, literally have nothing to do with what the judges are looking at. And then like on top of that, I feel like you should also focus on making the judge's job easy. Because if you don't know that you're switching and they're having to wait for you to figure out that it's your number and all of this, like it just, I don't know, I feel like you draw negative attention in a way because you're holding up the show.
Or you may miss the crucial mandatory part. Like if you're so focused on all these other details, you might lose because another girl's just standing there calmly in her front pose. And you're too busy thinking about all these other things that you're not executing that one pose. And the judges just don't have the opportunity to judge you in your mandatory pose that they're supposed to compare you against.
And mistakes are okay too. Like people have made mistakes even at one of my pro shows where you remember when they ask you to walk back to the front line, or sometimes they'll just ask you to turn to the front and the back. I feel like that's one common mistake sometimes even at the pro level of like half the line walking forward and half the line staying back.
That's happened.
Right? It's happened for sure. So I think just like being present and making mistakes if you do, and just correcting and just trying to go with the flow.
Yeah, and I think if you're working with a posing coach, to when you're at the regional level, allow your posing coach to teach you the foundation and to take it step by step. I know that we all know you want to really get to that routine and pose like the people that you're following on Instagram. Like, we get it, but if you allow your posing coach to just do their process and allow them to teach you, because they're teaching you what you need to know at your level, and they're making sure that you're set up for success, or they should be, at the level that you're at. And if you are a regional level competitor that is, now getting ready to go to nationals, maybe you and your posing coach start kind of working on and addressing now different things and new things, and kind of enhancing your posing and stage presence. But you have to master kind of the basics, and like you master the standards of your level before you're ready to kind of master that next level. And that's just, it's just kind of how.
I think that's how it works, because I can even think about like when I won an overall at the regional level. They told me I was perfect and I was great. Just take this right to nationals, right? But then you get into a different environment, and now, hey, you should work on this. Hey, you should work on this, and all of those things, right? And so I think, yeah, it definitely has to do with what level you're at, and just making sure that you're executing that level as well as you can.
And I think and I think you guys can maybe speak to this, you and Lexi, is when you're working with like a brand new competitor, most of the time what we're trying to do is just get you mobile in these poses. We are just trying to get you mobile and flexible. And honestly, mobility and then understanding weight distribution. Those are the two main things. And that takes time. Like, you know, we may teach you a pose and you know your cues and you know the technique of the pose, but your body just isn't adapted to it yet, in bending and arching and twisting that way. And so your body needs time, and we've got to just focus on getting you in these poses correctly, the right posture, the right weight distribution. Something we see at the regional level is a lot of like leaning forward in the front pose of the, you know, like they just can't distribute their weight correctly, so they look tilted in their front pose if it's bikini. You know, Lexi, you can maybe speak to some stuff you see in wellness, but we just see like, you know, the body just doesn't look balanced, and it's just because your body doesn't understand the correct weight distribution. You're not able to arch. And so you need to master that, because if you can't master that yet, your basic poses are never going to look quite right. And then if you start adding like the fancy transitions into it, you're just never going to get it. Your body's never going to understand.
Right.
Yeah, and to add on to that too, when you're looking too far ahead as a regional competitor, when you're looking at these pros and everything, when we're trying to, as an amateur, when you're trying to mimic that, you see a lot of competitors wanting to, you know, force all of their poses and not just do the pose for what it is at their physique at that current time. So I think that's another thing, is girls like to get ahead of themselves, and they're bending way too far over in their back pose to bring up size, or they're just doing, you know, too much. They're pushing their hips too much on different poses and things like that. So I think just talking to the individual and expressing to them, like, we're going to do the best that we can with where you're at currently, and just fine tune that throughout your prep to bring the best look for you. And just staying on those mandatories and making it look as natural as possible. And with that is just consistency, and just really drilling it into their mind that that's what the judges are looking for, rather than anything else.
Yeah, I feel like that's literally like today I was working with it was our first session, her first posing session ever today, which was really fun. And we're kind of talking about it and just learning just the front pose today. And it was great. She has been a ballet dancer before, so very body aware. So that is always helpful. But like she did an amazing job of like listening to every cue, but she didn't have a pelvic tilt mastered in a rotation, like in the front pose in bikini. And so I was talking to her. I was like, it's not that you're not listening to my cues, because she's like, I don't understand why it doesn't look the same as when you do it. And I was like, it's just mobility over time and consistency, and having your body learn how to hit that. And then even by the end of the session, after a few poses, it was already improving. And we literally spent our whole first session just mastering that and getting into the pose on both sides so she could feel the difference. And it was amazing to just kind of see like, okay, that's where the foundation is. And sometimes I always feel like with a client, I want to like jump up to like next thing, or like they're like someone's next session. It's like, we got to move on. But really, I think it benefits the client if I keep it boring, but we like master those mandatory poses before we ever get to a routine. I have a client that we've been working together for months, and we just finished learning transitions and put it together as kind of a routine. But like, but her poses, we wanted her to nail it so that she didn't have to think about, like, if I told her to move her feet, then she'd have to like be like, oh, well, what's that pose supposed to be like? She knows that pose. Her body knows what the next pose is, because we spent so much time going into each and every pose. So now we can add that next level of movement and making it more fun. And we added some arms, and that was really fun. But she didn't have to be like, oh, is this what a front pose is supposed to look like before? Like, or like side glute pose, what is that? Like, she knows, her body knows. We've been in it so many times that when I say, okay, hit the side glute pose, but as you're stepping, do this, she got to focus on the new next movement instead of what is that?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys do this, but you know, with my newer competitors or someone that has just kind of has only done a show or two, a lot of the times it's almost like not doing arm movements. We just teach footwork and how to move slowly to each pose in just the footwork. You can actually get away with very clean, pretty transitions by kind of just relaxing your arms at your side and letting them just kind of swing and hang as you move into the next pose and then land the hands where they are. You really don't need to be doing a ton of different arm movement options you can get there. They do look pretty. Like I'm a big advocate for some cute arm movements, but
but after the foundation and the basics are mastered.
I think focusing on your footwork and just getting to and you can literally just think of like when your hands are in a pose, just kind of delicately dropping them and then swing into the next pose. Like you don't have to do anything big. Keep the arms a few inches away from the body. And if you can master that, that will make you stand out so much on a regional stage. Like you will look so clean and polished. And then the judges are going to be look at you like, whoa, like she knows what she's doing, because like, you know, it's the regional level. There's a lot of nerves. There's a lot of new competitors or semi, new to experienced, and those nerves get the best of us, and it really shows on stage. And so if you can just execute simple things, you're going to stand out a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And to add on to that too, I feel like when you are a newer competitor and you're learning your transitions and everything, if you are learning everything at once, there's too much on your mind when you're learning. You need to make sure you practice just the feet in the beginning and get that locked down. You can do it in your sleep. So then you can think about your arms rather than getting into it too soon and adding arms. Now you're losing your footwork. So I just think really like taking it slow and breaking it down and being okay with that. It's okay for it to be boring, and understanding the purpose of the order and everything and the process in general, that it will help you a lot.
Yeah, it'll go a long way.
And then just also I feel like having that appreciation for the fact that posing is always evolving. Like I know for me at the very beginning, I thought there was going to come a point or a certain number of reps of me doing this front pose where I was going to master it. And this is my front pose and this is what I'm going to do on stage. But it always changes, like every prep even. Like I think I changed my front pose the last prep, which is
crazy. As our body changes, our main poses change a lot. That's for sure.
I think I think we're kind of almost ready to dive into the national level, but last thing with the regional level is I think it's important to know that like when at the regional level, you need to master your like what is the front pose, the back pose, the model pose, the side glute pose, or whatever, whatever your mandatory and transitional poses are. Like what are they? The right angles, but maybe we're not super hyper focused on the like making sure because you making sure that you like land that pose absolutely perfectly, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't think you will. Most brand new competitors and regional level competitors, you will not execute that pose perfectly every time. You need a lot more. It takes a lot. Now there are some naturally gifted body awareness posing rock stars out there that just get it and they can do it. But for the most part, like it's gonna take you multiple shows. It's gonna take you multiple years of competing, working on your posing, working with posing coaches to really fully understand all the components of your body and the poses. But what's important is like just kind of understanding at the regional level, like the general idea of what your front pose should look like, and then the general idea of the back pose and stuff like that, and what a transition to the back and to the front is. And then as you compete more and more, as you move up more and more, then you start focusing on really nitty gritty details of the absolute perfect foot placement, toe positioning, the absolute perfect like hip angle, and like how much to rotate forward or not, how much to protract a shoulder forward or not. Like those are the fine tuning, and that I think is where we get into the national level.
I have one more thing that's really important at the regional level. At this regional level, I think a lot of people are either they're doing this one time and they're never going to compete again, or they're just getting into this and gauging how far do I want to go? Do I even want to go to the national level? And so if you've practiced your posing, you will be more confident on stage. Thus, you will have a better experience on stage and show day. And because you won't be as worried about it, and it'll be a better experience, and it gives yourself the opportunity to know if you really actually love doing this or not, or if you want to go to that national level. So I would say posing at that level is also about giving yourself this experience. If you're only going to do it one time, you want this to be the most fun thing and be a reward for all the hard work you did for prep. And so if you put off posing and you dread it and you're scared of it and you don't want to do it, then when you get on stage, that's going to just roll right into your stage experience. So get in front of it as a regional level and put yourself in a place where you're just confident in bringing yourself to that stage so that you can just enjoy the day. I think that's a huge one at that level because you're having fun at the regional level. When we get to this national level and we're right about to go and you're starting to do that fine tuning, that's where it's more competitive and not just fun and enjoying. And our families are there because it's usually local. Now we're going to that next level and it's like competitive. So don't forget to like bring fun, and being confident makes it easier to have fun.
Yeah.
That's like kind of my last little note on regional. Because for me, that's really important. I want people to like, the worst thing is to spend 20 plus weeks and sacrifice things with your family and then just hate it because you just like were so nervous and had no clue what you did and hated all your photos because you weren't in a pose. You want to look back on those photos and be like, look at how fun that was. I worked so hard. And majority of that time, then you're going to want to go to the next level because it was awesome.
Yeah, I've had, actually, to piggyback off that a little bit, I've had clients come to me and say, like, I'm just doing this for one. I'm never going to do this again. I just want to hurry and learn my routine. Like, they've just said, like, this is not, I'm not trying to be competitive here. I don't care about winning. I'm just, and I have my process. Like, at my core, I am still not going to just jump to teaching you a routine. Like, it's just not happening. But I explain to them, like, I totally understand that. And we're going to make sure you look good. But if we just jump to teaching you your transitions and routine, you are not going to get it. And you're going to flail around on stage. You're going to look back at your videos and your pictures. And you're going to have, like you said, the worst experience. You're going to hate this. Like, if you're doing this for fun, like, try to really learn it. And that way you look polished and good on stage. So then you've got these memories, these pictures and these videos that you like. And then you can just remember you did this cool thing way back whenever, but you liked how they looked. And because I've had a lot of competitors come back to me like, I hate my pictures. I hate my video. I did, and they just didn't like it because they didn't take it seriously. Like, I don't know, Lexi, if you've heard the same, like, same kind of thing.
All
like,
the time.
Yeah, and it and it's why we stress the importance of just kind of learning those basics and taking it slow because
your stopping points.
That's
when the photos are taken.
It matters. Honestly, I didn't like as a posing coach, I like the last 2 years I competed, I finally love my pictures because I really fully truly understood the stopping point, the power of a stopping point, and so and I love my pictures now and stuff like that, and so anyways, you will love your pictures and videos and your memories.
Enjoy it.
It's almost like you have to work hard to have fun on stage, because if you don't work hard, then you will not have fun.
You gotta do the boring stuff,
so anxious thinking about all these things, and that's not fun. So it's like the more that you can make it automatic, the more actual fun you can have.
Yes.
Big time.
So nationals.
Now we get more competitive.
Now we get more competitive. Less fun. No, I'm just kidding.
I will say, I don't know how it was for you guys at your first national level show, but it was eye-opening. It was an experience. I don't know if I was ready for it when I went. Maybe at like a conditioning level, I might have been close. But like, I think it really showed in my posing and just even being, but I think it was a really good experience because it like woke me up to be like, okay, if you want to be at this level, you got to put in some more finesse here.
Yeah. I would say at the national level, you've got girls who they know their poses now.
They're all
for
winners.
the most part.
They're all winners.
They're
That's
all
how
winners.
they got there.
They've all placed, they've all qualified for the national stage. And so for the most part ish, there's different like call outs and levels to nationals, but they know their poses. They know what a transition is. They know what a routine is. They know how to enter the stage and exit. And are they doing it in the most polished, some of them doing it in the most polished way? Maybe not, but that's where the polish comes in now. And you're now trying to get yourself to that pro status, like that look on stage. And so you now know your foundation, but now you're cleaning it up. And so you are now really focused on the perfect foot positioning, the perfect twist of your hips or upper body, how much glute we need to show, how much shoulder we need to show, how much leg we need to show, like those nuances. And I think a big one too is, at my first national show, I've always been a dancey poser. I was way too dancey. Way too much. Oh my God, I cringe. I was way too dancey.
I want to see this video.
We should at the very end, just all of our firsts.
Yeah, all of our firsts.
Not mine.
No. I feel like Lexi has had good posing from the freaking start. Since I've known her, she has had she's had clean, pretty posing. She just hasn't had any bad posing.
Oh man, that's not true.
That's awesome.
But anyways, and so I was definitely arms flailing, spinning and whipping, and it was just ridiculous. Okay. Yeah. And so at the national level, I think that you learn how to control yourself. You're getting a little less nervous, a little more confident. You're learning how to breathe a little bit better. You're just a little more in control. And then the more you compete at the national level, you just keep getting more in control. You don't move as fast. You kind of hold your poses better. I would honestly say you're just more in control.
Yeah. Nationals your teenage years.
Yeah.
The preteens.
Yes.
And then,
Yeah. And if you think about when you go to a regional show, there is a handful of competitive athletes, right? It's not everyone. A lot of times some people are not in shape even, or it's just, there's a handful of people that stand out. And so your poses don't matter as much. It's literally the judge can look at you and be like, yes, 1, 2, 3, and rank you fairly easily without your posing. And when you get to that national level, everyone's placed first, second, or a lot of them are overall winners. So now everybody starts looking closer together in competitive levels. So that's why the details make you stand out in a lineup, is because now you have to pose to stand out above those other girls who have also won, because they all have muscle or a certain level to reach there.
Or you guys might, especially in a first call out at nationals, you guys might be pretty equal in physiques, pretty close. And so now posing comes in.
The gaps
are
smaller.
much smaller. And so now really hitting a perfect front pose matters. Hitting a perfect back pose matters at that national level, because you're fighting to break past that very equally competitive girl that's standing next to you.
Exactly.
And, being able to not look nervous, being able to just stand there confident. We're not saying you yet now need to have because we're going to get into talking about hair flips and arm movements and things like that, but it's not necessarily, you could still have a very simple routine.
I would.
I honestly would. At the national level, I would keep it. My last national season was the simplest my routine has ever been, because I just wanted to execute the poses and show my right glute, my right glute position and waist size and things like that, overall shape. I took out a lot of stuff and just executed, because what matters to me, at that level, it's so hard to get a pro card. Yeah. It's so hard.
Because they're picking apart and they're really looking for the mistake to be okay. Because I've been moved out of center before, where it's you make that one little mistake somewhere, and then it's kind of okay, let's move this person in, let's move this person out, and all of that. So it's a lot more competitive, and just like you said, being as accurate and as consistent as possible, especially as they turn you with the
Yeah.
comparisons.
Also, yeah, the drilling, comparison drilling.
Mhm.
Being
You're on stage
able to
longer.
your posing stamina. I think that's really where it matters. We preach it a lot, period, but I'm gonna be honest, you can kind of get away with not being so great at it at the regional level. Let's just be honest with that. At the national level, no. I
can't.
think absolutely not.
No, you
You
can't.
will be held on stage a lot longer at the national level, and they are working you. And so you need to understand what posing endurance is, and you need to be good at it. And that needs to be your main practice. I think at the regional level, people probably practice their routine way more than they would comparison drilling, because they don't have a grasp on the importance of the comparison drilling.
It needs to be the opposite.
It needs to be the opposite.
Yeah.
But at the national level, it really is the opposite. You should be, if you're a top national girl, you are, or in that top college, you are probably really drilling comparisons.
Yeah.
You are transitioning
Or
a
you
lot.
can tell who hasn't.
Yes.
Whose routine looks amazing, and then they get into comparisons, you're like, what? And by the third time, the
Yes.
third turn.
Yep. I would also say the walk to the back becomes very important. And at the national level, you know, you need to know what it is. Again, it's that foundation versus polish thing. You need to know what it is at the regional level, just in case you do it. More than likely, you won't do it in comparisons at the regional level. It'll be at the if you're in the overall. So you need to know what it is and kind of how to do it. You should do it the best that you can. But at the national level, they are doing that to pick out your flaws. They are doing that to place you, to for walking to the back. So yeah, at the national level, you just start leveling up in regards to the polish of your stage presence and posing. I would even add, at the national level, that is also, I think, kind of where you start enhancing your ability to work the judges table, to make eye contact, like really. At the regional level, you're probably really focused more just on the head judge, because you've got so much going on in your brain and your head, and you're like,
Just trying to breathe.
You're just trying to not pass out.
Or that the lights are blinding you and you're blacked out.
Yeah.
You get on and off the stage.
Yes.
You made it.
Right?
But at the national level, you're kind of past that. You know how to navigate the stage. You're now trying to kind of have a little bit of a presence. Stand, you know, and when we say stand out, it's not doing a hair flip and it's not flipping around on stage. It's just being in control, looking confident, communicating with the judges. You now start to learn how to communicate with your body language and your eyes, rather than just standing there honed in on a head judge.
Yeah, and at the national level, a lot of times once you reach that level, you're going to multiple national shows, because the end goal of a national show would be to win your pro card. And at a regional level, a lot of times the judging panels, it's amazing if you get a good pro-am show in your region, and you get like high-level Olympia judges, but you'll most likely have just very regional judges as well. So it's a regional show. There are people who are in your community who are volunteering to be judges. But if you're going to the national show, a lot of times it's the same or very similar panels show after show, and they do remember you. They do start recognizing you. So making eye contact, being personal, being rememberable, they're going to reward your improvement and your execution of feedback. So standing out that way and making those connections, and meeting those judges backstage for feedback, things like that, if they do sometimes at national shows, sometimes not.
They've now, at the national level,
they
they're
have
now
been doing
bringing
now.
judges back after each class. They have
It
a
used to be
judge backstage.
emails, and now they are doing it because it's more effective and time better for the judges. But yeah, I would say like a lot of times, where was I? I've lost my train of thought on that one.
Lexi,
Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna ask you, when you're working with a regional level versus a national level competitor, what are some of the differences? Like, do you have like kind of things that you're focused on, or that, you know, obviously they know their foundation and stuff like that, but what is that like polish? What does that look like at the national level?
Right. I hear what you're saying. So when it comes to a regional competitor, it's going to be, you know, the same process as a national competitor. I'm always going, even if it's a national competitor, even if it's a pro competitor, make sure that we are looking at their mandatories before anything. At the regional level, it's going to be more time just figuring out how they feel in the pose, making sure that they're practicing without a mirror and they understand all of that, just the basics. But when it comes to a national competitor. They already know how to do that. So now we are taking probably their improvements from the season before, and we are learning their new physique that they have created for themselves. And we are teaching them new ways to show their physique in a better way. And maybe it's different than last season. And just having tweaks and little things like little shoulder adjustments, little elbow, like what to do with your elbow, and kind of just break it down. Because, like you have all mentioned, everyone is now at a much more competitive level. So we have to be able to really highlight on their physique, to set them apart.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I think also, like, at the national level, we start looking at things. You should kind of be doing this at the regional level too, but we really kind of identify, like, are you on your best front post side? Are you showing your best side glute side? Like, we really start to hone in on, like, those details too. And maybe we redesign your transitions in order to show the best side. Maybe we now at the national level start adding in a little bit more of a designed arm movement to go with your footwork, to just bring out a little bit of like presence and personality, so it doesn't look maybe so simple. But again, if simple is what's working for you, stick to simple. That would be like my number one thing. Don't just say, I'm at the national level, I can now start doing these crazy arm movements. That is not what I'm saying. It just means that we assess where your posing skill level is and are you ready for that kind of thing. And like when I'm working with a national girl, I'm now really now focused on, it was just something I don't really do at the regional level unless you are an experienced and fast learner when it comes to posing. But at the national and pro level, I'm working with girls and like, okay, as you're moving your foot, as you're moving, doing this arm movement, when this arm goes this way, I want your eyes going this way. I want you to look like, I want you to look down and then back up. Like, I'm teaching you tempo and timing and when to move and how slow and fast to move, and like in certain parts of the movement. Like, I am breaking down, like, when your arm drops here, this is what your eyes and face are doing. I want you to smile as we open, as we close, as we, it's choreographing that stuff. You are not ready for that at the regional levels. You can't handle that at all.
It's too much.
I would even say a lot of people at the national level until they've done it for a while, but
it's hard.
It's a lot. It's hard, but that is kind of some of the nuance that starts in the national level.
What about like I was even going to say like the nuances of the actual stage, because the other thing is I remember posing a little bit more towards the head judge and that kind of when you're more on the national stage. I don't feel like I see it as much on the regional stage. Maybe you do, but I don't remember it as much. But I just remember, at the national stage, just being even more aware of not just, I guess, your angles, but just your angle to the judge and just overall.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. I think we teach that to our regional level girls, but again, it's like there's so much to learn and to remember and to understand that when you are really up there at the regional level and you face the back, you might not be thinking, you're just focused on your back pose, and that's what I want you to focus on. You forgot, oh shoot, I'm supposed to kind of angle in. Like, you may have forgot that at the regional level. That's, you know what, that's okay. Okay, because you're going to keep competing more maybe and learn that and get that down. But at the national level, you don't have the opportunity to forget that. You need to angle in, because we're trying to show the judges like your perfect back pose, and they need to see it at that angled in angle. And so at the national level, yes, you now know what your back pose is. You know what your cues are. Now you need to remember how to angle in, if you being aware of where you're at on the stage. So yeah, that's a really good point, is that you now start focusing on where are you at on the stage. Are you in the center? Did you get moved out 2, 3, 4 spots? Like, do you need to angle in? Where are you in relation to the head judge? It's while you're up there, you have to think about this stuff, but you've already mastered your foundation, so you're thinking a little less about your foundation
to make room for more
to make room. And you may have you're thinking less about your foundation, and now maybe you and your coach are just like, please just remember how to angle your glute, because that's important, right? So when you're on stage, you're thinking glute, angle. Like, you're just now thinking of 2 things rather than 500. So that's another really good point.
And that's kind of like what I was saying with like my one client. We can now do her transitions months later because she spent all that time with the muscle memory of mastering the foundation. So it's kind of like as you level up, the little things that like maybe were really hard when you begin, like were at the regional level, you won't be thinking of those. You'll be thinking about the details at the next level, and that just comes with time and experience and like building those repetitions. And for some people it takes longer, and for some people they pick up on certain things.
My analytic brain is like, I just wanted to know how many reps was it going to take for me to nail this front
There's no
pose?
number.
Like, where are we at? Am I 3 out of like 3,000 or what? But even on the national stage, I was even going to say one thing that threw me off as I started to get new coaches and things like that is sometimes like your coach will try to communicate with you while you're on stage.
Yeah,
and
because a lot of times you have the coach in person there at national levels.
Yeah. And so they're telling you either like how to angle, or for me, watch your core, or, just different little things. And so if I was thinking about so many things and then I'm unable to kind of even take in the information they're trying to give me live, which is amazing because they're actually watching from the other side, I feel like you would miss out on that as well. So I don't know. There's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot. I would even say also at the national level, when you're heading into your national show, you expect to, as you're getting closer and as your physique is coming out more, your coach may make these little teeny tiny adjustments. So you may learn something, and that you may see that at the regional level, but your development is different. But at the national level, I think, again, it's where the detail really matters. And so you might be kind of in a back pose, toes forward or toes out, in a front pose, like, rotating a certain way or not. Like, there are these little details as your physique comes out more that your coach may make. And so at the national level, you're more experienced you have that foundation. So if you're thrown a detail, a change, you're kind of able to handle it because you're like, okay, I already got the foundation. I just now am paying attention to this one little thing. So that's something that I didn't really, when I was at the regional level, didn't really like. It wasn't, or maybe I just didn't know that was happening. I don't know. There was just all kinds of information.
I think a lot of times at the regional level, your coach is just trying to be like, okay, hit close to your front pose.
Yeah.
Like as long as you're in a good front pose, like we're happy.
We're okay.
Yeah.
And when you're at the national level, it's like, okay, now you're in your front pose, but we need to change A, B, and C and hold, and so it's kind of like there's a lot of different the next level of detail that needs to go into it, and expectations of adjustments being able to be made.
And your level of commitment as an athlete is also different because I think you would be more open to taking in maybe a little bit more of the nuanced things when you are at the national level and you're wanting to kind of get to that next level.
Yeah, you're definitely more financially invested too.
Yeah.
It's expensive to go to national shows. They cost more. Just in entry fees, most likely travel, because you usually have to travel to them because there's less of them.
Yeah, you're gonna have to travel.
And so if you're more financially invested, you also are more likely to practice or put in time because it's more important to you. I've seen that be a big factor actually, or at least you should be. Make it count. If you're spending all of that money and time and energy, especially your energy, like make it count.
Yeah, so I would say at the national level, I think like the biggest takeaways would be you're still mastering your foundation, you're polishing your foundation.
Yeah.
And you should be focused on your comparison rounds. You should really be focused on your comparison rounds, and I think hitting your body's specific technique and cues consistently. So lots of technique drilling and then comparison rounds. And your routine should come after all of that, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree.
We had a head judge at the Fit Body Fusion Summit that talked about his view, and he is a top head national pro level judge, and that he doesn't, in so many words, he doesn't really care about it. And he's not watching your individual routine unless he thinks you're going to be like fighting for one or two, and then he's going to make a note to maybe remember. So it's not that your routine isn't important, because what if you are competitor number 1 and 2 that he's watching out for? So you do need to be a polished competitor, but he also mentioned he's not looking for a bunch of stuff. He doesn't don't spend tons of time up there that you don't need to be spending up there. Don't do a bunch of different poses that you don't need to show. He just wants to see you. He's just paying attention to you one more time to make sure they're making, the right call. You're controlling your posing, your core, that's the other thing at the national level. I think at the national level, core control, like
it's a big thing.
breathing and core control really comes into play. Like we teach that. You have an understanding ish of that at the regional level, but at the national level, like you're really like working on a bunch of maybe different techniques, cues, just in order to, because you are posing longer. It's all, again, it's posing stamina.
Posing journey,
but maybe you're also now working with LPF coaches. You're learning, just, it depends on what you need, but it just gets more nuanced at the national level. But I also think that nuance stays and carries into the pro level. And I think at the pro level, I haven't competed on the pro level. I've worked with pros. I've received feedback from pros. You guys have competed on the pro level and can speak to this. I've talked to you. And Lexi, you've worked with a lot of pros. And so to me at the pro level, it is like the ones that I have worked with, it's been a lot it's been more so like learning stage presence. And they have their technique. They know their mandatory poses, or they have their coach that is really fine tuning their technique of their mandatories. And they're coming to a posing coach. And this isn't all cases, this is my case, but to kind of just level up their stage presence, and, their flow, their confidence, how they work the stage, designing and choreographing transitions. Like these are, they may not, like, what is the best way for me to step back into my side glute? What do I do with my arms when I do that? Like it's choreographing. Lexi, I don't know if what your experience is with that, but.
Yeah, whenever I have a pro coming to me, often I have very few things to say about their mandatory poses. Most of the time that looks phenomenal. So it really does come down to them just looking to bring more, personality to their routine and have that flow. And it's just my job to help choreograph and bring that out of them, because they do have the mandatories, they do have the basics. A lot of times their transitions even look great. So it's about like highlighting what part of the stage are they going to show this pose and figuring out their strongest suits and highlighting that and in the right order and the right places, and doing it in a way that they feel the most confident doing it, so they can show their most confident self and believe in themselves on stage too. I think a lot of it comes down to because they look phenomenal, I want them to also enjoy the routine so they can express it better.
And at that level, in my opinion, at that level, they're very body aware, most of them, and they have a lot of experience on stage, and they know when they don't like how something feels, and they can give that feedback, and they can, we can teach them a move. They try it a few times, and they're like, yeah, I'm not liking this. Okay, let's problem solve. Let's work on this. Let's try this. And then again, they give you that feedback of yes, that felt good. I feel confident, pretty. Doing that. That was smooth. I didn't have to think about it. That made sense. Like, and so we're a lot of times just making sure that they're keeping their technique, but while bringing in and intertwining the flow, the stage presence. It's choreography.
Facial expressions.
The facial. It's kind of like what I was talking about earlier with the eyes, the tempo, when to move an arm and stuff like that. That starts at the national level, but it is like kind of what I focus on at the pro level is like how, it's tempo, it's controlling a move, it's I call it controlling the moment. And so like every single move you make on stage is a moment, and how you control that and how you execute it and present it to the judges. And that's what
it's very intentional.
Very, very intentional. Yeah. So I would say the pro level is very, very intentional posing. It's like a choreograph. I mean, the routine. There is comparisons.
It's almost like it's intentional, but make it look like you just thought of it. Kind of like almost like natural. It has to have like that natural flow, like
effortless.
You're not, effortless.
Effortless.
Better, yes.
Just effortless. This effortless. like flawless execution, that you're just like gliding around up there, like you just woke up and just, I don't know, got hit with the posing fairy and just, I don't
walk in
even
these
know.
heels all day, every day.
And I wouldn't say every pro looks like that on stage. There's definitely, when it comes to posing, there's
throw myself out there.
but the maybe not so strong pro posers, that this is what they're focused on. They're trying, because if you're a pro that's standing next to Olympians, like you're like, oh, I need my presence needs to look like this. And it really is. Note again, even probably at the pro level, the physiques are even closer.
Yeah, the gap is even less. There's so many high level competitors that have put in a lot of years. So the gap between is, so you have to have also, now you have a chance to, like, it's not like, okay, which one of us has just the best pose to make our physique look good. It's like, now how do we stand out to get in that first call out? Because that's what really matters to get that top placing. And in the pro level, they do have your routines at prejudging before the first call out. The judges are looking to see who stands out into their call out. They're taking more time and effort into who needs to be in that first call out. At a regional level, there's probably only one call out. They don't care about a call out. It's just the one group, maybe two groups. And then the national level gets even, there's more groups and it matters more, but they have a better eye because it's, they can kind of discern people quicker because there's a medium gap. And then now you have no gap almost. There's just a few people that are like maybe not at the top, and then some that are Olympians in names. And so it's kind of like very close together. I will say, like, like as this year, going into like my Olympia year, I had my main coach just executed my mandatories. She was very, very, very picky on the details of my mandatory poses. She'd watch my routine, but like we didn't work on that together. I hired a separate posing coach, and we pretty much only worked on my flow and presentation. So we could spend dedicated time to that. My coach was very concerned on how my physique looked on exactly how the judge was going to see me. And then it was my homework to go back and like work with a posing coach to have all the in between and the ways to stand out, so that once I got into that first call out and into that comparison, I was perfect in that pose. Because that's kind of how it kind of matters. You have to get into that call out and you have to get the attention. You have to have some personality. And I'll say the show I did the best on and the one I won, that was the day that I felt like I brought out the most of my own personality on stage. I was smiling the most. I executed the choreography of little details, smiling, looking, exactly keeping my hip in a certain angle while I'm turning. Like all those details clicked together while performing the most. And that got me in that first call out. Executing the most perfect amount of like my mandatory poses got me to that win. So it's like there's just like so much more to it at that level where it's like.
And then were you even thinking about it on stage? Like, were you thinking that my hip here, like every single movement, or were you?
I think I was more thinking about the adjustments or the things that were like I knew I needed to hit the most. I think there was a lot of things in between that I had practiced so much.
Yeah.
I was like auto muscle memory of like that when I take the step with my left foot, I turned my head and smiled. Or when I was in this pose, I did more of a smirk. I wasn't thinking about that.
You're even doing your hands.
Yeah, well, it's because like it's so ingrained. You practiced. You're at such a level of where you've practiced and choreographed every little intentional amount that like I could spend my cues and energy on stage and making sure I hit like the one or two weakest spots or things that I knew were like the most important to focus on. All the rest just kind of flows together because you're so practiced. I guess that's the right term.
Yeah.
And then I would say like at the pro level, that's also a chance for, I didn't have it as much because I felt like I was kind of mastering some of my own foundation where my level was at. But a lot of times you'll see pros have like a signature move. Maybe it's a shoulder shimmy, or maybe it's a hair flick, or maybe it's some sort of little thing that's like their signature like a little spin. Like Vanya does this really pretty spin that she's known for. Other people can't do that. Even me as an Olympian, I don't do that. Like, you know, it's like there's signature moves that people will start implementing to stand out as they reach ranks within the pro ranks. And so I think that it's kind of crazy when you start thinking about how many more levels there are even in that next level.
And I would even say though that the spins, the signature moves, they aren't necessary at this level, at any level. They're not necessary. But when you've mastered everything, like when you've are such a flaw, because there is a point in some competitors and some posers and Olympians and top IFBB pros, they've mastered their foundation. They're consistent in hitting their poses, and now it's just time to. And it's for fun. It's for them. Like
I would even say that little bit adds a little bit of personality. Like they're doing it for a reason. It's not just to do it. Yeah. It's like they're doing it for a reason, eye-catching, or to bring out a little bit more personality, right? And to make the audience connect with them.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not worth it. Like
when I won, only if you can pull it off.
Right.
When I won LA, we took out my hair flip. That was the show I didn't do my hair flip, and I placed the best. And it's because we kept it simple. In that one movement, I could hold my hips and my steps and my confidence so much stronger than when I did my hair flip. I thought it was fun. It made great photos. But like, my coach asked me right before stage, do you want to win or do you want to do a hair flip?
I was about to say,
And I was like, I want to win. And so we took it out. And I put it back in for the Olympia because fun. But that was I wasn't good there to win the Olympia, you know, so there's a time and a place for those extras. Maybe you're going out with a bang. I don't know, Kaylee, if you have a last show, are you going to go out with a bang? Like throw it all in?
Yeah, this is my last season. So I am making my posing a little more fun this season. But it's for me. It's my business. This is what I do.
Your videos, your photos.
I'm getting that damn Gyoko video. And I don't have a Gyoko video yet. And so you better believe that's going to be one heck of a
I don't even know how much money I've sent him.
I know. I'm buying every one this year. Every single one. I'm going broke for the. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a write-off.
But yeah, like if it's your last season competing, if it's maybe you achieved your goal and now this next show you're doing is like for fun. It's just
that was me.
You know, like then maybe you do have this move that makes you feel good, and you're just like you want that picture and video. That's fine. We're not saying you shouldn't do that. It's all about what your why is, what your goals are. If you're like, but now for my first national show of the season, actually, I'm going to take that back. If I'm close to a pro card, I'm probably going to keep my posing pretty tame because I want to make sure that
perfect.
That it's perfect.
Do you want perfect posing and win, or do you want to have just fun?
If the season is not looking great from a pro card standpoint, then I'm going to have some damn fun. Like that's just kind of what. But you make that call as you experience it and stuff. And if I do a cute move and maybe my glutes weren't absolutely perfect, it's okay. I'm doing this for fun, And
it's in your routine. You make sure that you take out those things in your comparison transitions where the judges are being analytical of you next to someone. You do not throw in that extra stuff there. You are perfect there.
Yeah. Comparisons. Yeah. I would say, let's just say that right now. Comparisons is not the time to be cutesy, fun, unique. That's another thing, unique. Everyone wants to be so unique on stage. And I get it. But a lot of times when you're too unique, you're just distracting. And
you don't want to be unique bad.
You don't want to be bad one girl that. Like, you don't want to be that one girl that everyone cringes and goes, what is she doing? If
they can refer to you by like some sort of ad, probably
not. Like you guys would all, like everyone would agree, like being unique isn't really the goal. Like
your physique stand out.
Your physique needs to stand out. Controlling your body and your poses and your moves, like that's what makes you look makes you stand out. You don't need to try to recreate something that, because judges are just going to look at you like, what are you doing? That's not what we do here. And you don't want that reaction.
And then they're like too busy watching your move and trying to figure out like what you're doing versus like, does she deserve to win because her physique looks on point?
Yeah.
You don't want to confuse them.
Like,
what am I judging today? Is this nationals? Is this Olympia? Where am I?
It's advanced competition.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I would say that's a really good. I think, kind of breakdown of the different levels, regional, national, and pro. And when you are, it would focus on like your level.
Yeah.
And there is a point, because if you focus on mastering your current level, you will be ready for the next. It's not about being at the level that you're at. I want to be a pro, but I'm not over here designing I play in the studio, but I'm not designing a pro routine kind of thing. Like, I'm not, because that's just not my level right now. Like, I need to get past the national level. So just understand the level that you're at, master that, win there, and advance to the next level, and then kind of start over and master that.
And
that's
you will be starting over.
You will be starting over. You will be a small fish in a, what is it saying? Small fish in a big
pond.
Big pond.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like every level that I went to, I was almost like a spectator at the first show I was at that level, if that makes sense. Like the nationals, you're just kind of looking around, like seeing what backstage is for nationals, and then pro level, same thing. You're kind of just taking it all in.
Like, oh my gosh, they know my name.
Yeah, exactly.
They call you by name.
Exactly.
yeah. So, anything else you guys would add? No?
Take your time with posing. Keeping it simple will always pay off. And it also, I think, when you keep it simple, it does take off pressure for maybe someone who's nervous about posing. Like, take away that pressure from yourself. You do not need to be this amazing, insane poser to do well. You just need to be confident in mastering your mandatory poses. And the rest kind of comes and develops with your experience.
Stage presence was a big one for me at the pro level. Because I focused a lot more on being as controlled as possible. And so it was difficult for me to kind of let go of a little bit of control and be a little bit more, outside of the box. One thing that helped me in terms of just bringing out that personality, but also kind of still staying well controlled, was to kind of think of the same word or visualization right before you're getting on stage. I found that consistency really helped me, so that I didn't have all these things kind of going on in my head. It was just always like kind of bringing yourself back to, okay, this is my moment. This is my show. This is what I've been working for, and then just kind of going out there and showing all of that.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps up. What? Yeah, have fun.
Have fun.
Yes, have fun. Have fun. Smile.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely. And if you have any questions, all of us are more than happy to help you out, give our advice. We do have Lexi, Kalia, and I all have in one-on-one posing sessions, video critiques. Even if you're not one of our clients that's doing one-on-ones, we do video critiques as well. If you're just interested in some feedback on your routine, or maybe just your poses in general, we're happy to help. We think that, you can never, stop learning. So we're here to help you learn more, just to make that day and that experience better for you, and give you something that you're proud of. It means a lot to all of us. And we win through seeing you succeed.
Yes. Well said. All right. Okay. Well, you can reach us at performanceposing.com, performance posing on Instagram, and that is all. Focus on your structure. Your foundation.
Thanks, besties.
Bye.
Bye.